9 millennia ago in ancient Mesopotamia, they were baking flatbreads in clay domes. They had no digital thermometers, they had no scales, and still they managed. Today we make Focaccia Genovese from scratch. It's the lazy bread for a thinking person. High hydration, low effort, maximum structural integrity. The word focaccia comes from the Latin word focus, which means hearth. It was a bread for the masses and an efficient energy transfer from stone to dough. Before we begin, quick reality check. If you don't have a scale, go buy one. They're only like 20 bucks. 480 grams of Tipo 00 pizza flour. The 00 in Italian flour designations refers to the grind. 00 means extra fine. Can you use bread flour? Yes. Will it be the same? No. Will anyone notice? Also no. 380 grams of lukewarm water. Lukewarm means body temperature. You should be able to stick your finger in and feel virtually nothing. Or just use a thermometer like a civilized person. 6 grams of active dry yeast, that's about 2 teaspoons. This is the same organism that makes beer and wine possible. Basically, we are cultivating tiny fungal slaves that eat sugar and burp carbon dioxide. These little creatures have been humans' baking partner for millennia. The Egyptians were using wild yeast fermentation thousands of years ago. We actually still use wild yeast fermentation. It's called sourdough. I'm using a tiny bit of sugar just to get our little slaves excited. 10 grams of fine sea salt, that's about 1 3/4 teaspoons. Salt does 3 things here. Flavor, obviously, number 1, but it also reinforces the gluten structure and it controls the speed of fermentation. Then 50 milliliters of extra virgin olive oil. I split that in half. Why? I'll tell you later. For the top, we need 3 things and only 3 things for this traditional version. Rosemary. Use fresh if you can, dried if you must. I won't judge you. A flaky finishing salt. We want flaky. We don't need sodium, we need texture. And then of course more extra virgin olive oil because we can and we want the extra flavor. Archaeologists found evidence of flatbread baking in Mesopotamia dating back 9,000 years. That technique spread through the Mediterranean. Every culture made their own version. The Greeks had plakos. The Romans had panis focaccius, literally hearth bread. That's where we get the name focaccia from. And of course, the Romans being Romans, they spread it everywhere they conquered. Which means focaccia has basically been gentrifying Europe for over 2,000 years. And now it's gentrifying your kitchen. Let's begin. Mise en place. One of the few French terms Germans actually respect. It means everything in its place, and that means planning ahead and be organized. Very German. Not so much very French though. We need a large bowl and a small bowl of sorts. Let's start with the small bowl first. That's your 380 milliliters of lukewarm water. In go our 6 grams of yeast and the little dash of sugar if using. Whisk it together. Set aside for a few minutes, let the yeast wake up and metabolize some of that sugar. You will know when it's ready when it gets a little bit foamy on the top. While that's happening, we prep the flour. If it's pre-sifted or it doesn't have any lumps, it can go straight in. I'm gonna sift mine because it has a few little lumps. Some recipes tell you add the salt later, other recipes tell you add it now. I found it makes very little difference. We are all adults here, we all get along. So in goes the salt. The yeast water should be ready. Look, foam, small bubbles. That's carbon dioxide. Your yeast is alive and hungry. Good, sehr gut. Now we combine, add the yeast water to the flour. Swirl it around, you don't want anyone left behind. Last but not least, half of our extra virgin olive oil. The oil serves multiple purposes, flavor, moisture, and it creates a tender crumb by coating flour proteins and limiting gluten development. Now comes the part where amateurs panic. This is a high hydration dough, almost 80%. That means 80% ratio water to flour. That means it will look wrong and it will feel wrong and you will think you made a terrible mistake. You didn't. This is exactly what we want. Mix until just combined. We are not kneading, we are just combining. Shaggy, sticky, wet. Perfect adjectives for this dough. This process should only take a minute to 90 seconds. I'm using a Danish dough hook for this. Very efficient tool for anything like this. When you don't see any more dry flour, you're done. We are not kneading this. Now, cover this with a clean kitchen towel, or what I'm using is a pizza tray from Dollar Tree. No, they're not sponsoring this. I'm just saying it's a cheap and clean alternative. Easy to handle too, fits a 12-inch bowl. Let this sit for 30 minutes. The flour will fully hydrate and gluten will start developing. It's called autolyse. A French baker discovered this in the 1970s. Turns out if you let flour and water sit around for a while, they figure things out themselves. Quick science, gluten is basically two proteins. It's gliadin and glutenin. Gliadin gives you the stretchiness and the glutenin gives you the strength. Together they form a gluten network. When flour gets wet, these proteins start bonding and create a three-dimensional network. That network traps gas from the yeast. Gas equals rise. Rise equals fluffy bread. But it takes time, so we wait. Patience is a virtue, they say. 30 minutes, time to introduce you to your new best friend, stretch and folds. Notice the dough has already changed a lot. It's smoother, more integrated and quite bubbly. First wet your hands, this dough is sticky and water is your non-stick coating. Now go in, on one side, lift, fold to the center. The stretch and fold is exactly what it sounds like. We are building gluten structure here. Reach under one side of the dough, carefully pull up and fold to the center. Turn a little, repeat. See those strands? That's gluten. If you have eaten at Taco Bell, and I know you did, don't deny it, this is exactly how a Crunchwrap Supreme is folded. Same principle, completely different result. And once you're around, cover it up, walk away for another 30 minutes. From chaos to order. Very German. This dough now has strength and integrity. It probably could file taxes. Why do we do this instead of kneading? 2 reasons. 1. High hydration dough is very sticky and you'd be varying more of the dough than you'd be working. 2. This gentle method retains a lot of the gases and creates a nice open crumb. That's what we want in focaccia. Big holes, irregular texture. 1 more fold, 1 more rest. While that's happening, we're preparing the baking vessel. You need a baking sheet, ideally between 9 by 13 and a half sheet. Metal, not glass or ceramic. Those are for casseroles or people who don't like a crispy bottom. Remember that other half of the olive oil? This is where it comes into play. Coat this pan liberally, and I mean liberally. If that 25 milliliters is not enough, use more. Coat your pan all the way up the sides. I'm using this shallow cast iron pan because I don't have a high rimmed baking sheet. 30 minutes, the final rest is complete. Now comes the fun part, and by fun I mean potentially frustrating. Gently scrape the dough into your pan. I'm using a dough scraper for this. It's the best method. Oh, this just fell out. Nice. With oiled hands, now gently stretch it to fill the entire form. It will resist and it will snap back. That's normal dough behavior. Just let it sit for another 5 minutes and it will relax, and then you can finish pushing it into the edges. With a round pan like mine, this is a lot easier. Start heating up your oven. Cover this and let it rest until the oven is hot. The oven temperature is critical and it will depend on what kind of oven you have. For a convection oven, 220 Celsius, that's 420 Fahrenheit. For a regular oven, 240 Celsius, that's 465 Fahrenheit. The difference is air circulation. A convection oven, as the name stipulates, moves hot air around. A regular oven does not. We compensate with a higher temperature. While the dough rises in anticipation of a hot oven, let's talk toppings. Rosemary, native to the Mediterranean, and it's been used in cooking for thousands of years. Strip the leaves. I have a couple flowers here too. It's that time of year. Remove the hard stem. Grab a knife. Give this a rough chop. We want pieces, not a powder. Then flaky salt, molten salt if you feel fancy. Any flaky salt or flaky sea salt will do. Use what you have or use what you like. Now I should mention this is Focaccia Genovese, just one of many varieties around. Focaccia Barese has tomatoes. Focaccia Diretto has cheese in it. Some places make sweet focaccias with grapes, honey, or even chocolate chips. If you want me to make any of these regional variations, let me know in the comments. This next part is therapeutic. A little oil on top, a little oil on your fingers. Now press straight down. All the way through. There we go. What we are creating is a moon surface. The oil will pool in the dimples. That's good. That's what creates the crisp bottom. Plus, there's going to be little pockets of oil flavor. Looks like something Neil Armstrong would drive a rover over. Another little drizzle. Make sure there's oil in all of the little dimples. Now scatter the rosemary. You want rosemary in every bite, not just an occasional pocket here. And finally, the flaky salt. Let it fall naturally. Always remember, when you sprinkle salt, high and dry is the motto. Perfect. Now it bakes. 20 to 25 minutes, that's your baking window, or until it's nice and golden and crunchy. What's happening in there right now? Science. Delicious science. The dough rises quickly. This is why we didn't deflate it earlier. Gases expand when heated, so the CO2 captured in the dough will expand rapidly. That's what we want, maximum rise. Now we wait. Germans are good at waiting. We not only invented Schadenfreude, we also invented Vorfreude, the joy of anticipation. Let's quickly talk economics. This focaccia, even if you're using a quite good olive oil, will come in under $3. You just made that artisanal bread with maybe 20 minutes of hand-on time and a couple hours of wait. And this is why I make my own bread. Not because I'm cheap, but because the return of investment is absurd. Well, I'm a little bit cheap too. Take this out and put it on a cooling rack. And then we have to wait at least 10 minutes before we can tear into this. As it cools, the crumb firms up slightly and the internal moisture distributes. Still warm, but it's time to see what we accomplished. The bottom is perfect, crispy and golden. Now if this isn't a nice crumb, I don't know what is. Crispy on the outside, chewy and soft on the inside. So in a sense, 9,000 years of bread baking experience ended in this moment. You won't find that quality in a supermarket. Some say it's the precursor of a pizza, and I can see that. Cherry tomatoes, olives, caramelized onions, all a possibility. In my opinion, this needs nothing. One last tip. If you want to store this, cut it into pieces, pack it into bags and freeze it. Reheat in a 380-degree oven and you will have fresh focaccia at hand.